We got the cars. It was fun otherwise.
Empty. Generator. Generator.
Let's do daylight. What's going on in the news? My church is not done. What's going on? So what's going on? What's Dr. Phil have to say on commercial?
We saw it about an hour ago, a small gathering. We believe that it was at Van Nuys and Sylvan.
Oh my God.
Crossing back and forth for the crosswalk. And
well,
it's not a huge crowd down here. Everything seems pretty peaceful. But this has been...
Yeah, it's not going to be peaceful all night.
Hour, 20 minutes. But it was only on one corner.
Yeah,
now it looks like
there's people in the lane.
They start off in the corner where it's kind of a civic center area. You've got what they call Van Nuys City Hall. It's not really a city hall, but it kind of looks like the one downtown, a smaller version. That's a building where a lot of elected officials, as well as the building department, you see the round building there. They have offices in there. The Van Nuys Courthouse is in the same complex as well as one of the LAPD divisions. And again, the protesters here milling around on all four corners of this intersection on Van Nuys Boulevard and Sylvan. So that's about all that's happening there right now.
Nice, overcast.
Basically pretty simple.
And I'm going to bet they've been happy to do people breaking news.
Also following breaking news in the investigation into George Floyd's
This place has to be canceled.
Yes, and we now know the results of an independent autopsy in that case.
That's hot here.
Green Winter has more on that and the continuing push for justice.
The attorney representing the family of George Floyd, he released.
Actually had a... Here's what they are now urging people who have been out in the streets exposed to others, what they should now do.
This is ABC World News
Tonight.
David Muir.
What's going on?
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Monday night. And we begin tonight with the president set to speak at the White House amid word tonight that active duty Army military police units from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, now getting ready to be in the Washington, D.C. area tonight. The National Guard, of course, already there, and of course it all comes after a weekend of pain and cries for justice.
National Guard's
Some of
there.
those demonstrations
That's good.
Turn
We need them. Protect us.
Some of it right in front of the White House, protesting the death of George Floyd. And ABC News now confirming that at one point this weekend, the president was brought to a bunker. He is set to speak, as I mentioned, military vehicles carrying National Guard.
They hear us? We care about them.
And those troops from Fort
Bragg protect us
later tonight. Overnight, the flashpoints across this country, 5 police cars set on fire. This is from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Who's not happy, the Lord?
And this is what came close to home for the president. Police in riot gear using tear gas on protesters crossing the White House. We're also learning more tonight about that frightening scene on a Minneapolis highway. A semi-truck head right toward hundreds of protesters there. Miraculously, no one seriously hurt. What we've now learned about the driver, we'll have that in a moment. Police and protesters have been injured in the clashes among the arrests across the country.
New York City.
3 people in New York City accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at inside. 2 of those arrested are lawyers. Tonight, 2 officers have been fired in Atlanta after this scene. 2 college those officers dragging them out using a stun gun. And tonight here, we hear the conversation today between President Trump
Man, what's somebody to talk to in the party settings? What's my friend? What's somebody to talk to, hang out? No, I'm not gonna be mean to my friends. I'm friendly. I'm not very mean. I'm a nice person. I'm not nervous. I'm safe. I'm by my room.
Falling free.
Light. I like this light pajamas. I like this water bedroom, master bedroom. I think I have a guard giant panda.
Free.
Enjoying game playing Minecraft.
Enjoying Minecraft, but
It's enjoying Minecraft play. That's it? I think that's Dad. I think that's... That's all. Right now.
Oh, really?
I heard this truck right now. Good, that's safe. Good. That's how Mark. Looks like that's not gonna work tomorrow.
falling free.
Rain. Hello guys. Hello. Hello. H-E-O-W. Hello. That's hello. No, I'm not being a bad person. I don't know what to say. I'm not sure what's in the TV. Nothing there.
Taking a look at the area here where Christina Gonzalez is on the ground. This is the area near Van Nuys City Hall, Van Nuys Boulevard here. Well, crowd is kind of holding like four corners of the intersection here. It's probably totaling about 500 or so, but you can see there is a very large presence by LAPD. Assisted by the California Highway Patrol down here. They are in standby mode at this point. They're just waiting to see what the crowd is going to do. They have already declared this an unlawful gathering, so they're just trying to make a plan here what they're going to do to clear all these people out. Now, there are some reports of some windows being tried to be broken down the north on Van Nuys Boulevard, but units have moved in very quickly to get those people out of here, or trying to. They already ran off when our officers started to approach them. But so far, things staying peaceful here. LAPD just waiting to see at a time that they can peacefully clear everybody out of the intersection.
You know, I'm seeing lots of chatter on Twitter saying that LAPD is dispersing the crowd. I don't really see a lot of that right here. People are standing there calmly. Also, somebody...
street, tearfully speaking to him.
I need you and Pops to watch over me. I know you got me. I know what you want.
Terrence turning to those around him for strength, then passionately addressing the crowd, demanding the violence stop.
I understand y'all upset. But like it was already said, I doubt y'all have his anxiety. So if I'm not over here wilding out, if I'm not over here blowing up stuff, if I'm not over here messing up my community, then what are y'all doing?
Giving information to the ground units. That helicopter has departed now, so that's the latest over downtown LA. I'm Larry Welkin, Sky 5. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Larry. Well, volunteers in Santa Monica have been out helping today to clean businesses impacted by yesterday's protest. The city's mayor has now issued a curfew that starts at 4 p.m. KTLA 5's Courtney Friel has the latest.
Hi there. A curfew is now in effect for the business district of Santa Monica. And by 4 p.m. citywide, everyone should be at home unless they're going to work or having an emergency.
Curfew is in effect 1 p.m.
As police drive by making curfew announcements, you can still smell the smoke in the air outside this Santa Monica sushi restaurant that was set on fire by looters who took advantage of the peaceful protest yesterday. Jack's Jewelers on 4th Street was trashed. There's glass everywhere, and everything was stolen, including the safe.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, I lost everything I built the last 40 years, piece by piece, and everything is gone. So hopefully we can rebuild and just move on.
Santa Monica police believe the looters were opportunists tracking where peaceful protests were happening to come and do damage. Out of the more than 400 arrests throughout the night, 95% were not even residents of the beach city. While some store owners chose to protect their businesses with rifles, Gina Brose stood outside to protect her friend's homeopathic store.
Windows were all smashed. People were trying to dive in there to steal stuff. I don't know what they think they're going to steal. There's no drugs in a homeopathic pharmacy. You know, what are they going to steal? Vitamin bottles? I don't know. I think they just wanted to do damage.
9 fires were also set, but luckily there were no injuries, and eventually 100 National Guard members were brought in to keep the peace. Monday morning was spent with hundreds of people coming to Santa Monica with brooms and cleaning supplies, trying to wipe off graffiti and also boarding up their businesses, which looked like hurricane preparations. DJ Brett chose to spend his
community neighborhood. Now there's an additional concern that's been raised of those who were taken into custody and arrested. And
No. No, people don't buy them. I don't buy them. His truck yet? Haven't come out yet. Haven't come out yet. That means I'm gonna phone somebody. Yeah. Yes, the news, huh? Yes. Good time. I'm a lion. Man, it's crying. Where is it? Another thing. One brown bed. Brown bed. Licensed brown bed. Brown bed. Look at my character in the game of Minecraft. There's in the game. There's a play right now. Family. Those letters might not squat. That's my ex-sparkle.
Efficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them. I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C. What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced. Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail. This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence. One law and order, and that is what it is. One law. We have one beautiful law.
President's doing a good job.
Law. We have one beautiful law. And once that is restored,
it's moving right into the center of the Gulf. We'll track it. When we come back, a warning about the coronavirus now.
All green. That's in their feet. A hornet. That's good. That's great. Take their own time. It seems ripping, is it? Backyard. That's in the backyard.
Are you free? To have fun.
That accused you of something she did.
Questions from reporters about the fact that many local businesses felt like they were too late in responding and allowed some of this looting to happen. So it may be that they are trying to visibly send a message today that this is not going to happen, in the same sense that the president seemed to be talking about sort of visibly sending a message to people as well.
Alex,
I'm still trying to comprehend what the president just said, which was quite something.
I'm hearing also from other law enforcement sources that, and you heard too from the LAPD chief talking about how the protesters / rioters here, looters, have been moving from on foot to now to the vehicle, a mobile kind of way to break into businesses. You see this arrest here happening right there by the LAPD, and that other agencies, I'm told, were able to actually intercept some of the people who had done the looting in Long Beach and make some arrests that way. So you have these people who are packing their cars with stolen goods, and they've been able to actually stop some of them in their cars and make those arrests. So that information from Kevin Takumi. Kevin, let me bring you back in the conversation real quick. So you feel that you're hearing that LAPD has undercover people keeping an eye on businesses. That should come as welcome news to some of these businesses that know that they might be targets.
Yeah.
militarized country, or we will be soon, and it will play out in front of our very eyes on national television.
And Don, the president said he is now going to be deploying what he described as thousands and thousands of U.S. military troops to American cities. He says he has the right to do so under the Insurrection Act of 1807, and that's why he's doing this. Jim Acosta, you were there, you were listening to the president. He made a 6 or 7 minute statement, and then he walked away, didn't answer reporters' questions, clearly insisting he's going to win. He's the law and order president, he said, and he called what he called the terrorists, and he called them the terrorists. They will lose, and he complained that so many of these cities and states were engaging in a total disgrace by not taking decisive military action.
That's right, Wolf. And I just want to catch you up to speed on something that appears to be happening right now, and that is, it seems that they're making preparations over here at the White House for the president to make some kind of movement off the grounds of the White House. You heard the president say at the very end of his remarks that he was going to go pay his respects. You can see behind me, the pool is gathering as we speak. That's the White House pool. That's the small group of reporters who trail the president throughout his day on his movements. We're not in the pool today, but our colleagues at the other network, NBC, and other print reporters, they are gathering up right now for what appears to be a very brief movement that the president is going to be taking here in just a few moments. It is possible, based on the logistics of where we are and how he'll be able to make a brief trip.
Denver. Look at those people in Denver. A lot of people getting arrested in Denver. It's Denver, Colorado. A lot of them. People getting arrested in Denver too. No living out loud. That's Washington.
Daniel Gray, thank you so much. We're good to go.
As this crew works to prepare, a lot of work was also happening all around them. People coming out to clean up and support each other.
Great community. I mean, it is fantastic. A lot of people pitching in, cleaning up, painting up the graffiti, cleaning up the sidewalks. I mean, it's a good feeling.
And although they are armed and ready, they hope they won't have to confront anyone who's trying to do damage. What are you hoping for today?
Peace. Peace. It doesn't have to be like this. We can all be upset that that gentleman, lost his life, but the violence just isn't the way. We're tearing up our own community. For what? For what?
At that white truck there, and they're actually helping to do some boarding up of some neighboring businesses as well. So again, this is Broadway and 10th. This is the area where they're going to be staging. We can see them right on this other side. They actually just got some pizza. They have some chairs here, and they will be setting up, standing out here all night. So I did put a call into Santa Monica Police. I've been speaking with their public information officers. You can imagine they have so much going on right now, but they said it's very important to have this conversation about what's going on. They know that some business owners are taking this route, taking it upon themselves to be armed and to protect their own stores. So far, they've not been able to give me a comment just yet on about these gentlemen, about other businesses that are doing it, but they say it's a very important conversation to have, and they just hope that it stays peaceful out here, as do all of these business owners and these neighbors. Reporting live in Santa Monica, Kim Tobin, NBC4 News.
All right, Kim, appreciate that. Thank you. Breaking news right now. Eliana Moreno live over the scene of the news show before Alpha, and it looks as if protesters are now on the freeway. Where are we?
The freeway.
Michael, on the 405 freeway, right at the Wilshire Boulevard exit. These were the protesters that we saw just outside the federal courthouse. They made their way westbound on Wilshire and are now on the northbound side of the 405. Look at all the cars that are still in the path of all of these protesters. I'll widen out the shot just a little bit so you can see that there is no CHP traffic break anywhere near this. It was unexpected. They were calmly protesting outside. Look at that. This car making its way through the protesters. He ran right over the sign that they've been carrying as they've been walking on Wilshire Boulevard. But this is easily 50 people or so now on the 405 freeway. I do see one police cruiser. Let me see if I can find him. There he is. So the first unit of the CHP pulling up on scene. He's going to start to block traffic to protect these people from getting hit by these vehicles. Again, all happening now within the last minute here on the northbound side of the 405 at Wilshire.
It's just incredibly dangerous, Eliana. You can see these cars trying to get by, and the protesters are working their way into all lanes of traffic here.
Absolutely. If you know anyone that travels on this 405 freeway, give them the heads up about what is going on, because the California Highway Patrol will be forced to shut down the freeway. Not all of the protesters are on here, though. You can see that some of them are still on the on-ramp, and the way that they got on the freeway was that they walked right under the freeway there. That gave them access to the freeway lanes, and that's how they got on this side. And not all of the protesters who were at the federal building made their way over here. About half of them stayed behind. So this is the group that just started walking to the west on Wilshire Boulevard and has now ended up on the northbound side of the 405. And that northbound 405 is already going to be heavily impacted because of this. The backup, I'm looking up ahead, I can see that the backup is already to the, I believe that's going to be the 10, already to the 10 freeway.
Eliana, what is protocol in situations like this? Obviously, we saw that that officer stopped traffic. Are they stopping traffic to get these people off their freeway? Are they just going to allow them to protest here on the 405 northbound?
So the California Health...
Yes. When Daddy has to back to get burned.
Generating well.
No, I'm doing that.
Blade screen, world sound.
So this is, again, the northbound side of the 405. There's the exit for Wilshire. And it looks like there's actually a vehicle blocking, and that is going to be, I believe, an unmarked unit of the CHP. So they're blocking that exit, but really that would be the best way to get some of these cars out of the way. And ideally, if they could just block the 405 over at the 10 freeway, that would stop the flow of traffic here on this northbound side. But for now, there's really nothing to keep vehicles from getting onto this stretch of the highway and essentially being forced to drive on that emergency lane as the protests continue here on the 405.
All right, a lot of action there on the 405, also in Van Nuys right now. We're going to kick it up to Gail Levis over the scene in News Chopper 4 Bravo. Gil, what is happening here?
Well, Michael, you're looking at the Boost Mobile store here. This is on Van Nuys Boulevard and Gilmore Street. A large group of looters came running up to the store here, busting out the windows as we got the shot of that, blowing out those windows right there, and then entering through there and also through this entrance here. They went in, they took whatever they could, but LAPD was quick to respond, and the group of the looters ran off to the west. You see units rolling that way right now. They've splintered off in different directions, but right now the Boost Mobile store here on that corner was hit. I can also tell you, as we look at that, there was a pharmacy just down the street that they hit right before this. We were watching the looters walk up the street, and they walked right up to that mobile store and just shattered that window. And half the group went this direction, and the other group went north. LAPD right now searching for those individuals. There was a group of about 30 people that made their way, at least 30 people that made their way inside that Boost Mobile store and looted it very quickly.
Wow. So quickly, I was watching your chopper shot here from the studio, and I saw that big cluster of people, and all of a sudden break through that window, and they all stormed in. I mean, it seemed very orchestrated.
It was, Carolyn, and just right down the street, just a couple of blocks away, is a huge task force of the LAPD with the protesters. So that's the way they operate here with the looting. They go in, they find a target, they bust the windows, they go in quickly. But LAPD very quick to respond to whatever looting is happening. In fact, we just saw just a little while ago 2 suspects being taken into custody that were looting here along Van Nuys and Gilmore.
You know, and earlier today we had Police Chief Michael Moore talk about how they're going to have 13,000 LAPD officers out. We saw some of them. We see them in Van Nuys right now. But again, they got to this Boost Mobile store before officers could pull up to there, Gil.
They did. In fact, they were running out. The group.
No, I'm not talking to nobody. I'll come down. Looters. We're gonna get hit. Looters. No. Let's get that. Got a picture when TV did. Who's calling dead? Oh no. Alright, that's single skill. Next. I have to hide it. Next. Generator well. It's over here. My feet's off. Still up. I'm gonna do that. More copy. Generating. Oh, that's good. Generating. I like those. Generating. Generating. He's not happy. Generating. Because bad people are bad in like. Generating. Done. Return. No, I'm still. Let's do it right here. Let's go. There. Make the word copy next. Man. People, looters. There. Quit. News. What's going on?
And ran over and stood and said, please, no, no, no. And what do? You run over and you stand there and you build a wall, a human wall, and they're breaking glass all around you, and you're just like,
No, I just been your rifles.
this is your bread and butter. So you do what you gotta do. And that's what we did. What's gonna happen tonight? Sorry.
That's Long Beach.
I think tonight's gonna be peaceful.
Or not.
I think this community came together like no other today.
Community. I mean, you're supposed to be here.
This happened. We did this. But we did more today. Just to assure that we'd be safe. My business would be safe.
To be safe.
And I had all these people step up and come today to help.
Nobody wants to notice.
And that's what this is about. You can come from wherever you want to come. We're going to stay and we're going to protect our businesses.
Protect the businesses.
And I'm not mad. Let me make it very clear.
Not mad.
I am not mad. I am not a mad business owner about this.
Business owner.
I am mad at the spark that started this fire.
Fire.
And I'm sick and tired of people being upset about the fire. You can't be upset about the fire anymore. Historically, we've had this happen.
It happened.
What do you expect if you don't fix the spark? If you don't fix the systems that are broken? The people, the humans that are broken, these were young kids. Are you telling me an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old coming out here to do that kind of havoc doesn't have violence that they saw in their childhood, growing up, in their communities? I guarantee.
Code 19.
So what did we do for them? We showed them violence. We continue to show them violence. And then we're going to get mad when they react violently? How do you do that? How do you do that? You want people to react civilly in a civil way? Then you treat humans with the same civility that
are going to support the ground units that are there right now. So we're going to stay on top of this here, but things heating up here at the protest at the Van Nuys City Hall. And again, 2 LAPD helicopters, lots of ground support. But unfortunately, we saw a little bit of looting and a little bit of just some of a little bit of activity where people were trying to break into businesses, not necessarily even to loot, but just to see if they could get in. So a tough situation here in Van Nuys. We're going to stay on top of it throughout this newscast. I'm Larry Wilkins, Sky 5. Yeah, to you.
Larry, the response we just saw from the LAPD there seems to be a much more aggressive stance than what we've seen. And earlier today,
Stuck with the bill. Don't let that happen. Call the life insurance.
All of these protests being one thing, which is violent. Which of course is not accurate.
It is violent.
Yes, and listen, we work in television. We know when someone is producing a moment, and we know this president comes from a reality show.
Rate of damage.
It's violent.
Police officers to push them away when they're being peaceful. It's just.
Judge Judy.
Here and ran towards the east, back towards Van Nuys Boulevard. When the LAPD arrived, there was a couple of officers that tried to make arrests here. One in particular that grabbed one of the looters coming right out of this store, and he was able to grab him for a time, tried to wrestle him down to the ground, but then simply let him go, just released him, and that looter ran off again to the east. So now they're searching the neighborhoods here just to the south side of Victory Boulevard for those people that ran off. In all directions here, you see the airship still circling there, and some of them made their way back to where the peaceful protest is going on Van Nuys Boulevard.
All right, Gil, can you just give us some geography here? Where is this pharmacy in relation to that Boost Mobile store?
Okay, well, the Boost Mobile store was a little bit further north. And we're going to keep an eye on this, but again, a much quicker response here. But unfortunately, if your travels take you to this area, they are starting to lock down Victory Boulevard. Forget about Van Nuys Boulevard. That is closed in both directions here around Victory. And there is law enforcement as far as the eye can see. And again, we'll try and push into some of these people that are trying to break into some of these businesses. In fact, it's just right, almost very brazen, just in front of officers. People were just trying to break into these buildings, and then they got the message that the police weren't messing around and started to scatter throughout the neighborhood, and that's what we're looking at right now.
You can see the vans along with the units there, wondering if that's in anticipation of arrests being made.
That is exactly what those vans are for. So they want to make sure that, in fact, a lot of these officers have those plastic cuffs that they've been holding, those zip tie cuffs, and they're being fanned out into the neighborhood to try and take people into custody as they can. We haven't really seen that many people being taken into custody, but again, that protest still going on at Van Nuys City Hall while another faction has broken off and is running about this neighborhood.
Well, this is certainly a change in tactics from what we have seen. I mean, it's it's been tough to get a handle on all this when these groups that are part of the protesters, they kind of infiltrate the protesters and they break off and start running in different directions. And this appears to be the peaceful people, the peaceful protesters. They're just protesting for change, standing in the middle of the street, but it's all these other groups that break off from them, and they kind of scatter in all these different directions. And we're seeing the police department, sort of the LAPD, kind of a tactic we saw last night in Long Beach, where things were breaking out in different areas, and there would be groups of maybe 15 or 20 officers and maybe a fire truck if there's a fire, heading to a certain area to try to quell what was going on. And
freeways, and this peaceful demonstration looks very organized. It doesn't look like any problems yet.
Okay, we're getting word now. Ron, do you want to go to Philip on this? Or you want me just to say it? Okay, so we're getting word now.
It's nighttime. Let's do this at night.
Philip on the ground that they're going to let them
get stuff in the daylight time at night.
They've had a discussion. They're going to allow the protesters to be heard, and that will continue in Van Nuys. But let's keep our fingers crossed that the looting can stop, and that there's enough law enforcement there to keep the looting down. Well, that's that picture that you see right there, and that was that discussion that you saw both on the ground and.
Now, they also tell me that they are still expecting that people could possibly show up. So they're still preparing very heavily there in the city of West Hollywood for the potential for any sort of trouble. In fact, I know that there are several street closures there as well, and in...
Man, what a bike, somebody to park.
Flag free, well stop.
Copy this.
Well copy.
So not surprising that people would take to the streets there and fill the streets with people. There's always a lot of people.
About 10 minutes ago.
I think that's so important what you say, that positive moment with some of the police getting on a knee, taking the knee, showing their solidarity in such a peaceful way. And then now you have this standoff and these moments that somebody's got to give. So as we watch this here with you, Brian, and you know, we're going to be keeping you up, keeping your shot up here. The other side of your screen, everyone, you see Washington, D.C. The curfew there was 7 o'clock. It's now 7:27 Eastern Standard Time. You have a protester there, that line of police. There are obviously protesters still around. Okay, thank you, Brian. So you can see his shot there as we see what happens. So you've got Philadelphia on one side of your screen, Washington, D.C. on the other. These images are stunning, I think, for all Americans to look at, to think that this is our country. Jeffrey Toobin was explaining you do have the mobilization of the U.S. military in Washington, D.C., which the president has the right to do. It is not a state. The president did, though, also moments ago in the Rose Garden say that every governor needed to fully deploy their National Guard, that he is mobilizing the U.S. military for the first time since 1807 under the Insurrection Act to go into the states to deploy them and quickly solve the problem for them if the cities and states refuse. Joining me now on the phone as we keep these images up, and I apologize in advance, Governor Cuomo, if I need to interrupt you as something happens here with this standoff in Philadelphia. But the Governor of New York, Governor Cuomo, is with me right now. Governor, what do you say to the President? He'll deploy the U.S. military. He will solve the problem for you if you don't do it.
I say thank you, but no thank you. How are you tonight, Erin? Look, the President wants to recreate reality.
At the moment, created often.
Okay, someone, Mark? No? Something else to do.
Play screen. Press the L1 button to tablet. Press L1
Names change, but the color stays the same. And it's right that enough is enough. And let's take this moment and actually change.
So Governor, the president tonight, you've mentioned these extremist parts, which we all know are part of this.
With so many ignoring precautions, mass gatherings can become super spreader events.
That is events where a great deal of transmission of the COVID-19 virus is happening. We'll need to work together to prevent these events from resulting in many more people becoming seriously ill from COVID-19.
Just Saturday, LA County recorded its biggest one-day jump in new cases, more than 2,100. Another nearly 1,400 yesterday, nearly 1,000 today. For now, many test sites have closed, and small turnouts at the still open sites, such as here in Exposition Park. Governor Newsom noted the slowdown and promised to catch up.
Well, we want to make sure everybody can get tested.
The bigger COVID concern is that the super spreader event may already have happened, but with COVID's 14-day incubation, a surge could be well underway before we know it.
My biggest concern now is that in 2 to 3 weeks, what is going to happen based on the conduct of individuals over the weekend?
Nevertheless, Supervisor Barger and Ferrer both expressed confidence the process of reopening that took big leaps last week will be able to continue. And I want to touch on two additional issues that we've been discussing in the past half hour. One, Governor Newsom at his briefing today talked about deployment of the California National Guard, and he gave us some numbers that so far up to today he had activated 3,400 National Guard members in California, and that he added 1,100 National Guard members today, bringing the total to 4,500. So clearly this is not an issue of any reluctance on California's part to activate the National Guard. And Governor Newsom also spoke of, prior to the events of the past week, National Guard members had been sent to Southern California to functioning capacities dealing with the COVID epidemic.
Of Los Angeles County and different neighborhoods to let's start the conversation instead of with violence, instead of with looting. Let's gather people together and gather groups and start a conversation.
All right, we were going to keep an eye on this situation on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood proper. We've also got a protest now that is brewing in West Hollywood.
Yes, and by the way, the 405 northbound, they're saying that has been cleared.
It has been cleared.
Yeah, so we did have a protest on the 405 northbound where people were in traffic and causing some problems there, but that has been cleared, FYI.
Okay, let's go to Casey Montoya.
His public relations lens. He wants to make this about looting because he doesn't want to talk about the killing of Mr. Floyd. He doesn't want to talk about that. And he doesn't want to really talk about racism and discrimination. So he wants to make it about looting. And his answer is always the same. Dom.
I had a son.
Flight 3, will stop. Press the L1 button to travel. Press the L1 button to travel. Flight 3. Press the L1 button to tablet. Press the L1 button to tablet. Flight 3, will stop. Press the L1 button to tablet. 12:14 tab.
We're out of state. Some people have been saying they were from out of state. Some people are from outside the city. But obviously, if demonstrators can figure out where their next gathering is going to be, obviously, looters who are looking for trouble can do the same thing, and of course mix in the crowd, and of course that's not good. I know a lot of the protesters are out there because they believe in this cause and they don't want it to be marred by violence and by, of course, looting, which we saw over the weekend, which is so hard to watch, especially in your neighborhood. I was in contact with some friends who lived in Santa Monica. They were worried whether or not they'd be killed.
So the chief says if people do not, if they do not go home after 6, then they are subject to arrest. So
Haley,
this will be going on until then, and then hopefully things will stay calm. We'll see.
Can you ask any of those people there if they're aware of the curfew? Are they planning to leave with the curfew?
They're not paying attention to the curfew, but yes, I'll ask them. Do you know about a 6 o'clock curfew? Yeah. That's great. Are you going to listen to it?
We don't want to start any trouble that we don't need to. We want to just do our movement, you know?
No violence, right?
No violence.
So that's good. That's different than what we've heard earlier. And, you know, I have to say it was pretty interesting interviewing the chief, Alex and Christine, because this crowd of protesters were walking by, yelling at him, flicking him off, screaming obscenities at him. And at the same time, there was a banner going across the sky that said, "We love police, thank you." So I've got a bit of a dichotomy. But,
that's what that banner was.
Okay. Haley, can we hear from some of these people also about the point of their message? Give them a chance to share their views with us?
Would you guys like to tell me why you're out here today? Some of them are thinking that we're the problem here. Would you guys like to share your message? What would you like to say?
Sorry?
What would you like to say? What's your message?
Hey, spread the awareness. This is unfair. We got to create a difference. Our generation. This is unfair to them. It's unfair to everyone. This isn't right, and we need a change.
Thank you, sir. And we want to make sure that we're separating the protesters from the rioters and the looters.
Thank you very much. As we watch Washington, D.C. again, you can see some of these moments. You've got the line of military police. You have protesters. Obviously, you know, this is very peaceful. There were a couple of tense moments. You may have, if you were watching a few moments ago, you saw one of them. The police did not respond. And we are also, as we said, now watching protests across this country. The curfew in Washington, D.C., among the earliest, it was a 7 o'clock curfew. So these people are now out in defiance of it. The police at this time are showing restraint. This comes as the family of George Floyd is releasing their autopsy report. They have determined Floyd died from asphyxia from sustained forceful pressure, a homicide. The report comes as the county has released its formal autopsy report as well. Sarah Seidner's out front live in Minneapolis. Sarah, two reports, both concluding that he would not have died had this not have happened.
Yeah, both concluding that George Floyd was killed, both saying that it was a homicide. The difference is exactly what killed him. The family's pathologist is saying that he died of asphyxia and that they found no apparent heart condition. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office and they found that actually he did have some heart issues, and that you know, they're not exactly sure, but they certainly said that he did have some heart issues and that, you know, he died of a cardiopulmonary situation with his heart. And so these are very different ideas exactly how he died, but what is consistent is actually the fact that they say, yes, he was killed. This was not an accident. This wasn't something that happened just because of a medical condition, but that he was actually killed by someone. And you know that autopsies don't say who necessarily is the person who killed him, but definitely that the person was killed. So that is very stark. That is something that, of course, the prosecutors will seize on after they have already charged one of the officers in this case, that officer Derek Chauvin.
Play 3, well, stop. Press the R1 button to tab left. Press the R1 button to tab right.
Yeah. Okay, I believe. It's not very nighttime yet.
What'd you say?
Practicing the front door right now. It's not nighttime yet.
Enforcement officers. Does that match up, their words, with what you found?
Well, thank you, Aaron. And on behalf of the Benjamin Crump legal team and myself, we want to just express how upset we are with what's happening out there. We endorse the peaceful protests. However, what happened to George Floyd was nothing short.
Get a little bit boring playing by yourself. Not nobody to talk to.
Flag screen, well stop. As we get along,
Minneapolis. Well, in NBC News analysis of police records found that since the beginning of 2015, officers from the Minneapolis Police Department rendered people unconscious with neck restraints 44 times. Several police experts say that number is unusually high. In all, Minneapolis police used neck restraints at least 237 times during that span.
Well, 2 Atlanta police officers have been fired after they were accused of using excessive force to arrest 2 college students during a protest Saturday night. We want to warn you, the video you're about to see is disturbing. Well, you just saw those officers forcing their way in to arrest the students. Prior to that, an officer signaled the car to stop because another officer was in the road. Now, we're told the driver allegedly did not comply. The officer says the driver reached for something in or near his pocket. The officers were both fired after the mayor and police chief reviewed this body camera footage. As of today, there are more than 66,000 National Guard soldiers and airmen activated in the U.S. A majority of them, about 45,000 troops, are on COVID-19 duty. That means just more than 17,000 National Guardsmen are activated in 23 states and Washington, D.C., responding to civil unrest. About 1,000 of those troops are here in Southern California. And we want to take you back to the protest in Hollywood right now. And Gil, just moments ago, we saw they were all kneeling down in the street.
They were, Carolyn. They made their way here to Hollywood and Highland, where they stopped and faced northbound. Here's a look why. There's a skirmish line from LAPD officers there just north of the intersection, and it got a little heated with one of the protesters here for just a few minutes there, but now they're starting to march off towards the west. Again, this all started near Sunset and Crescent Heights. It's a very peaceful protest through the streets of Hollywood right now, and the group is kind of broken up a little bit as they continue down Hollywood Boulevard. The next stop, or what they're going to pass by here, is the Hollywood and Highland Center that they're
in Bronson, but back here at Sunset and Vine, you see this large group on the corner. I'm not exactly sure if it is the same group we were following before or a different one, but it is a large group of peaceful protesters. They cheer as cars go by and honk their horns. Their signs say things ranging from Black Lives Matter to Your Silence is Violence. At this intersection, busy intersection, Sunset and Vine, and I want to give you a sense of what we have just on the other side of the street. You can see businesses are boarded up. Starbucks, Tender Greens, and then in front of them, members of the National Guard. There are several members of the National Guard on each corner of this intersection, and we know from local leaders that the role that they're playing in all of this is security. And these protesters that we see here are walking out to the middle of the street. We have seen from time to time this afternoon this group in Hollywood come out, kneel, hold their signs, in some cases blocking traffic. In this case, it's while cars are stopped at a red light. And they're protesting and they are demonstrating peacefully this afternoon. Of course, we've heard from local leaders ranging from all local law enforcement in the LA area, from the sheriff to the chief of police to the governor, saying that they are fully in support of peaceful protests, but coming out and talking about how lawlessness won't be tolerated. What we're seeing here, peaceful demonstrations on the corner of Sunset and Vine at this hour. We're going to get out of the street, and traffic's going to come our way, and we are going to follow this protest. We're going to keep up with it all, but for now, Glenn and Will, I'm going to send it back to you.
Well, Lauren, this is the same crowd that started essentially at Sunset and Vine, but there was a mass amount that actually left Sunset and Vine and walked towards Sunset and Bronson.
Yeah, just a couple, Ellen and David. Here's the thing. Right over there is where the protest was that you guys watched a few moments ago, and we're just hearing police. I've double-checked with a couple of different officers. They're telling everybody... 5 to protest. We did overhear that conversation with authorities when they were talking with one of the protesters, and he said, okay, we got 45 minutes, let's make the most of it. Over there, they had the protest, which you saw. There was chanting. There was actually a moment of...
But right now, upwards of 40 million Americans are without jobs. Do you really think that between now and in November, our economy is going to turn around? That these 40 million Americans will have their jobs back? They cannot pay their mortgages. They cannot pay their rent. They cannot pay their bills. They struggle to get food for themselves and their families. The American people are going to make their judgment. They're going to make their verdict known to the world in November. And I think what's going to happen is that the Democrats, because of all of this ferment, will regain control of the Senate, will keep their majority in the House of Representatives, and the Trump-Pence ticket will be defeated by landslide proportions. That's what I think is the upshot of what is going on right now, because we are on the threshold of a new movement in our country. There's a new movement, a movement against hatred. And the elements of that hatred include racism, which traces its roots back 400 years. It includes anti-Semitism.
Plea today at the site where his brother was pinned by a police officer. His brother is now pushing back against the violence that he's seen across the country.
What are y'all doing? Y'all doing nothing, because that's not going to bring my brother back at all.
And President Trump is now pushing local leaders to crack down on the violence. In a conference call that he had today with governors, The president called them weak and fools while urging stronger police tactics. And then this afternoon, the president said that he would deploy the military to states where governors don't get the violence under control. Colleen?
We'll have much more on that in just a minute, but as we mentioned, there are a number of large protests going on right now. This is that protest in Hollywood. Ileana Moreno over the scene at News Chopper 4 Alpha. This one very large, Ileana, but peaceful so far?
So far peaceful and very large, as you said, Colleen. That's why I wanted to start off with this wide shot so we could really get a feel of how many people are out here. They're numbering in the hundreds. By my estimate, 300 or 400 people who are out here. This is the same peaceful protest that started off just off of Crescent Heights at Sunset Boulevard. It just made its way over to the world-famous intersection of Hollywood and Highland, and then they turned to the west, making their way onto Hollywood Boulevard, and now they're southbound on La Brea. So they're currently heading southbound La Brea, coming away from Hollywood Boulevard. This, again, has been a very peaceful protest, calling for an end to police brutality, as well as seeking justice for the death of George Floyd. This is a protest that was organized by singer and artist Lizzo, and so far this has been a very peaceful protest, really staying on course here in Hollywood.
All right, Ileana, thank you for that. As we mentioned, several large ones going on right now. We understand there's one in Westwood as well. We'll get to that in just a minute. Now, some of the business owners in Long Beach are cleaning up today and guarding their stores after several shops were hit by looters last night. NBC4's Hetty Chang joins us live from Long Beach right now with more on that. Hetty?
Yeah, Colleen, just about an hour ago, the entire city of Long Beach went into a mandatory curfew, so if you don't need to be out on any public streets, you should be home. The businesses have already been under a mandatory curfew since 1 o'clock this afternoon because, yes, as we saw unfolding yesterday, unfortunately, Long Beach was one of the hot spots that was hit by a group of looters. This is the Long Beach Center. We're just off Pine and 6th and 7th Street, and you can see what we are seeing here. It's virtually a ghost town because we are under curfew. But all of the windows here and the doors have been boarded up. Some of the business owners spray painting messages saying, look, enough, we matter. Here at Mataki Sushi, this has been here for several years, enough is enough, we matter. Next door, Milana's New York Pizzeria, we feel the same way. So a message to people who may want to come back, and that of course is not the hope, but a lot of the business owners have spent the majority of the morning boarding up their businesses, protecting their businesses, coming together, and a lot of them tell us that even at like 6 or 7 o'clock this morning, we're going to wait for these cars to pass here, the entire community came together to help these business owners board up their businesses. And I want to talk now to Mark Robles. You may recognize him because just about 30 minutes ago, you heard a soundbite from him. This is the same gentleman who spoke with our Tony Guignard on Today in LA. That was very early this morning. We saw you again because we recognized you, and you are back here several hours later. You've been able to take it all in, talk with the business owners that you've known for now 8 years as the property manager here.
Some are fairly new tenants, but and business owners, and they're just trying to get their businesses off the ground. If it's not a pandemic, it's the rioting and the looting that's keeping their businesses down.
And you talked about how you saw it unfold on TV last night, but to be here and to see it, I mean, we're looking at these boarded up windows and doors so we can't see really what it looks like inside. But you've been inside these businesses. What does it look like?
If you had a box of Legos all sorted out in layers, and then you turned it upside down, and all the colors then just mixed, matched, and some are upside down, sideways, and that's what some of these businesses look like. Some of these businesses are hurting not only financially, but now they're hurting because of the repairs that they have to make.
And we were just talking, Mark, earlier about how we were just in this area last week talking with business owners about reopening after the pandemic. Some of these businesses just opened 6 months ago, and they're having to close again, and now they're boarded up. As we kind of move into the evening hours here, you had mentioned that you are happy to see the National Guard here. We've seen them on every single corner. They're stationed here to make sure that your businesses are protected. How do you feel going into tonight, and what sort of message do you have for the public, and also for those who may feel like they can come back here and do harm to your community of Long Beach?
For those that wish to do harm, for those that want to take advantage of a peaceful protest, a circumstance, a cause that has a right to be heard.
Flag green, well, stop. Press the yellow on button to tablet. Press the yellow on button to tablet.
National Guard, I appreciate the National Guard being here. There's a sense of safety and obviously ease. We hope that they're a deterrent to some of those that wish to harm the center.
The remaining protesters and presumably arresting them. They are still up there. Anderson, you were mentioning the made-for-TV moment that we saw earlier. It was extraordinary in the moments leading up to that speech by the president, in which he declared that he was the law enforcement president. On cue, the police forces in the police, so DC National Guard and the U.S. Park Police, along with Secret Service, they pushed forward and started aggressively pushing the protesters away from the park. They didn't use, it wasn't just a please move away, we're getting close to the curfew kind of thing. It was with force. It was with horses, it was with tear gas, it was with pepper spray, it was with rubber bullets. I saw an older man getting cornered in an entryway who was getting fired upon with rubber bullets. Protesters going out to try to help him under a hail of rubber bullets. They managed to carry him away. He looked like he was having some heart trouble. So some incredibly disturbing scenes playing out here, Anderson, tonight. It is the kind of thing, as you noted in your remarks earlier, it's the kind of thing that I've also seen in places like Turkey, in places like Egypt, between Israelis and Palestinians. These are not countries that we should want to be compared to. It is an understatement to say that, to pair the president's remarks that I was listening to in my ear with the scenes that were unfolding in front of me, to say that was surreal is certainly an understatement, Anderson.
Yeah, well, El-Sisi is the president's favorite dictator. Apparently that's what the president said to El-Sisi. Alex Marquardt, thanks very much. CNN Jim Acosta watched this all from the Rose Garden. He joins us now.
People will go home on their own. People behind me saying that's not going to happen. But at this point, again, a very peaceful protest here in Granada Hills. Back to you.
Christine, thanks so much. There are a lot of young people out there. And I think when I said that never seen that before, the difference here, the latest protest we had here is probably the Women's March, which happened in particular, like the downtown area, maybe Westwood. But this has happened all over Southern California. We're all over the country, but when we talk about, and the world, in London as well, but when we talk about here, we've never seen anything like this where we've got protests in all...
Marching. By early afternoon, police fired smoke grenades, rubber bullets, and tear gas into the crowd of protesters.
This is a group of unarmed protesters, and we were not even in the same vicinity as where the looting was taking place.
Protester Riju Malakar says he felt police were focusing their attention on dispersing peaceful demonstrators while a separate group tore up the business district. Malakar says as he tried to leave, he drove through a gauntlet of crime.
We witnessed a guy with a gun running around on the street, and he was like pointing it at people, and I didn't see a single police officer.
More than 400 people were arrested for burglary, assault with a deadly weapon, assault on police, and for violating the 4 o'clock curfew. Santa Monica Police Chief Cynthia Renaud defends her officers, saying they had their hands full. She says while TV cameras were trained on looters and fires, police were facing aggression from protesters.
The crowd was extremely hostile, and the officers were taking bottles and being attacked in that way.
Today, Governor Gavin Newsom promised all acts of violence will be investigated.
There'll be accountability. We will appropriately investigate any acts of violence against others, whether those acts be perpetuated by people in positions of power and influence with badges on or uniforms, or members of the community that are attacking and assaulting in a violent manner innocent people and businesses.
Santa Monica Police.
Happy that's work. Generator what? Generating well. Look at the bottom. Generating well. Generating well. Generating well. Generating well. Generating well. Generating well.
Generating online play is not rigged. Generating online play is not rigged. Generating
How can I know about it for a while? It's not busy. Go ahead. Let's see. I'm not talking to nobody. That's in the party. Oh, it's a way to talk to. Too quiet. No, nobody to talk. We've been talking about for a while. Green. 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 A lot of people in there. This drums like. Green. Hot. Green. Editing. Channel check. Hard pop. Channel green. Editing. Hi. Hard pop. Loud language. I had somebody to talk to in the game. There was somebody to join to talk to. He said, alone by yourself. I'm going to some voice and girls join the game next. But we'll get a lot of messages. There was somebody to friend request me next. Hang out. Maybe tonight. Hang out tonight. The Minecraft. Here's my map. Here's all my maps. I'm not afraid of nobody. No, I'm not afraid of nobody. I'm afraid of everything. That's high. Yeah, that's a bit. Minutes. Where's the Dragon game? It's too lonely here. Oh, somebody's looking at the Grab Dragon, Panda Dragon game. Man, it's so lonely here. I'm not ready to play. I'm not getting messages. Not a lot. Messages. This is off the left, that's why. Maybe messages off the left, that's why. That's high. Where's somebody trying to get up? Or somebody to talk to, just a little bit. Too lonely here. You must be lonely. Nobody to talk to. Lonely.
All screen settings are Boston.
Nope. 0.
Tab on all screen.
Maybe a blank.
Chat screen editing.
You're joining Minecraft. You're joining Minecraft.
Join new Minecraft.
No, don't wait for them since the world for
Tab on. Tab on.
This is like this live stream.
All screen.
Stupid buddy. Price at 5:30.
Chat screen editing.
What's it doing? Your live friends. Minecraft.
Live friends Minecraft. Chat screen editing.
Live if you want.
Live. Chat screen editing.
Live.
Live brown. Chat screen editing. Live brown. Chat screen editing. Live brown.
Lion.
This is Fox.
Other people steal my banda. Steal my stuff. No, probably not buying it now. It's not my car, not big house right now. Let's pray that my life somebody more. Not probably not big house. Nope. You're not playing nobody else right now. You're gonna play it by yourself? It's like this light skin. Lights in school. Mission 7. 7. That's why people have some wars open. That's why people have wars open. Let's find out. That's why people have some wars open. On Minecraft. That's why they have the wars open. On a Tuesday, Monday night. That's why I have some wars open. We can join somebody's game. Open it up.
Are you gonna join me, Sir Fox?
Yep.
I'll invite you here.
That's not open. It's not open, that's why it's closed. There we go. Nice. Yeah, nice open. Nice open. June the 1st. June. June the 1st, 2020. Whoa. Let's mark this bed. That's your bed, Marco. Your blue bed.
Oh, I have.
Where you put your blue bed? I remember the chance. Wood, we have blue, blank, we have orange, we have poststone, blade, blank, we have tools, blank, we have bath, cool. So let's take that. Making more glass. And the big last one. 80 stacks. Let's put these in here. There we go.
I'm gonna go home and take out the
What?
Or all the crops. You wanna help?
Fix them?
Or meat. Because I'm help?
Yes, I'm down on armor.
Here.
The crabs.
This is what we'll be cooking.
You heard what's going on outside right now? Outside? What's going on in the news? You haven't watched the news yet, Marco? The news. You know what's going on?
Nope, I don't.
Wait, not? You know what's going on in the news? Some people looting stuff. They're being bad. That's what's going on in the news right now. People that listen, they're getting breaking stuff, looting stuff, jewelry stuff. Basically, the owners are going to take the stars. Back up here, let's see. We don't know a food farm by no more. There's no farm no more. It's all broken now, farm.
Want this box?
Crossbow. You gonna fix your farm, Marco? Fix the farm. Yep, that are potatoes.
24.
Fix the fire. Whoa, there's a lot of tea in here. Iron pickaxe, I want that.
Okay, now let's start with some of that.
I don't know, carrots and potatoes. I see Marco wants a picture. Marco hasn't sent a picture yet. There's lions, star fox, stuff. I don't know, seeds in it. Yeah, top row seeds. Mix the salmon. I know. Beer. Running out of bread. That's what I have so far. We're playing lions on my board by yourself. Yeah, which one you stuck by here? Nope. It's up in the charge. Lay up the button. It's up in the charge. Let's put this by here.
Don't walk on the crocs.
Let's go. Fix it. I know I dropped the crocs. Was it drop on this? Nope. Was it drop on this? Nope. Keep it up. Keep it
Want me to put him in busy?
No.
You won't? Oh, you got longer in there?
Fixing these some torches. There's no torches in the back guy by here. There's no torches. There's no torches.
Oh, yeah, there's no torches.
Yes, I have no torches by here. Let's burn them out in here.
Yeah, we don't put torches.
I have no torches.
They gone.
There's no torches in the roof. There's no torches in the roof either. There's no torches in the roof.
I'm gonna get you some armor soon. I'm gonna go to the store for infantry.
There's no torches in the roof right now. There's no chocolate furnace and stuff. No. Let's put this away. Sugar cane. We need a sugar cane farm. Sugar cane. Sugar cane farm. I put that next to my dad. Sugar cane. Yeah, I'm gonna make a sugar cane farm. Are you sugar cane left by here? Sugar cane by here? No. Furnace steel, that's what I have. Some seeds, some signs.
Now we got
That's what is in there.
Do you think we should put the farm so we'll run away?
Yes.
You're gonna go find me some irons here.
And then torches. There's really no coal. My bed's still there. It's like bed. Now, berries. We need to find berries. I got these berries. Berries. I find them.
Torches are out
I
there.
want to plant the berries because I got the berries like yesterday. I want to plant the berries. I want to put them.
Hey.
Just make us.
You wanna play with us? Playing Minecraft. It's pretty fun. We have a really good flow. It's like really good. Really good.
I put the berries over here.
Somebody told me I can show you like a little, a pool that are
Playing berries. 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 Marcus has I don't know torches, does he? No, he doesn't. There's no torches by here. The left side has no torches. The roof either. Marcus has no torch. I need to get some torches for that. I'll stick down. What's it do? Man, it's dark in here. better. Need some more torches. That's coal. I'm gonna get my coal. Better to go over here.
He goes.
So, on there. I need some torches. So I have the torch on the left. Dark. It's dark by here. Dark. There's no torches by the right. There are torches by here. Torches. There's no torches to the right by here. I need some torches. Let's not do the furnace. There are no torches in the roof.
You don't need any on the roof. Don't put them don't put any on here. Oh.
So you need torches in the roof still. Put the like easy. Still spawn still. Googlies. Googlies do spawn in the roof still. Googlies. Right, if he's like easy, more hard. Can't sleep at the night. And do spawn in the roof. Googlies do spawn in the roof. Do spawn in the roof, but you. No torches. Nope. No torches. Maybe they're backwards out of torches.
Okay, is that good?
Yeah, that's a little bit dark by here. Too bad, not torches. I wish I have some. It's nighttime. It's pretty dark. Pretty dark in the Minecraft.
Okay.
Shovel. Oink, oink, oink. I think it's cold by here. Is it cold by here? Oh, it's all gone. I see the ravine. I see it. The big ravine. I see the big ravine.
Yeah, there's a ravine down there.
Yeah, I see it in the left. I know it's diamonds in there, diamonds. No, not torches. Never have one before.
Just let that respawn, okay?
Spawn.
Yeah, just let it spawn.
There.
Go to bed, stay fast. Start first.
Look at the bed right now.
Go to bed and I'll go up.
Come down your stuff off. You finished.
What? Tubes underneath the water.
You like it?
Uh-huh. I don't know the next person you gotta steer the Marcus and Mark, so you gotta steer that black bed. That's what people do. And then I have torches in my hand. Then I guess I'm away. Then and I can find some stuff. Where half of the map? Not all the way. Half the map. Cows. Somebody's. There's a fire there. It's burning off right now. Fire there. Any coal by here? In this cave? Let's find out coal by here. Let's find some coal by here.
Yeah.
Any coal by here? No coal. Any coal by here? Coal. No. No coal. No coal. I'm on people kill. I'll do that right now.
Olive green.
Yeah.
Chinese green. Hot box 1295. Tab.
So I can speak on that.
Chat. free
survival war.
Two. Tap.
Callback? Yeah, actually Ravine. Type of iron. Good call. 13. 20. My call. It was a call. Iron. Iron. I'm on call. Let's call out. 37. 89. It's a fortress.
17, 13, tab 2, tab
14, no, 81.
16,
Make some more stuff.
61,
There.
8,
Where am I? Spread these out.
Three,
60. Another blue ring.
seven, tab 14, 16,
Spread this out. Spread this out.
tab 6, 3,
Good. Take a Los Angeles sprays.
13, 7, 64, 8, tab 30.
Berries, lay out the berries.
Nine, tab 30.
Pretty much right in that one. Let's try these torches now.
Three.
Putting these torches in so that people can enjoy. Spread these.
Three, tab 30.
There's somebody here too. That's in the forest. There's some in the forest too.
Three, 5, tab
People blow this house up.
When On 70. On